I'm getting ready to treat all this area now. I've already sprayed. If you watch my other videos, I've already sprayed these areas all the way, even including the stucco up in here, the edges, all of this, all, you know, saturated the whole thing. I even went all the way up in there, sprayed it, and I used my Hudson sprayer right there. Worked out really good. It got all kinds of stuff off of there. It stunk too, let me tell you. Look at these 2x6s. They look almost brand new, but yet they're 15 to 17 years old. And now I'm going to treat it again, but before I do that, there's one thing I want to do, and I could do it now or I could do it later, but I want to paint over what I'm going to do. And so on all these steps, do you remember, you watched my previous videos on this whole job, on all the demo and everything, you would have seen that there was adhesive, construction adhesive on each one of these, but it wasn't holding anymore, so I scraped it all off, and now I want to install some new adhesive because I don't want anything to move around and to squeak. And also, if I cover things up, look how big that gap is, my word. If I cover things up, it will help seal this from the weather from outside. I'm also going to seal on the other side, but I'm going to use something different on that. But on the inside, I'm going to use my construction adhesive, and I'm going to go on all these lines. This line, and where the stair stringers are. I'm going to do that little bit here, a little bit right in there. Get this line here. See over here? I want to caulk this line, this line, this line, that line. All of the stuff, okay? And that's just something I want to do because I don't want things to squeak and to move around. And see, I do it now, then I can start letting that dry before I apply my next coat of protection here. And here's my construction adhesive I use. It's called Liquid Nails, and this is the standard project one. They have 2 or 3 different ones, but I always stick with this one. I ended up getting a whole case because I'm also gonna, when I install my new 2x6s and my siding, my OSB plywood and stuff on the back side, I'm gonna install this Liquid Nails. I call it Liquid Nails. That's what it's just called, and it's construction adhesive. Okay, and I'm going to use all kinds of it up in there. You know, you just have to keep watching what I do. And on this, there's an actual seal on the inside. So once you cut this, you have to break that seal. And I'll show you that in a minute. And I just take my 10 snips and I cut the tip, and usually I'll cut it at an angle. And there's actual little marks on here, but I don't really bother with that. I just kind of cut it, make it about yay big. And on the inside, you can't see it, but there's a foil seal there. So on my caulk gun, I get the caulk gun that has a push button here, not just the teeth. And more times than not, this is the only kind you can get now at the store. The thing I like about this one is it's got this little goodie here. Okay, and then that just pushes in like that. This even has a cutter. It even has a little cutter right here, and that's what that's for. You could put your tip in there and then cut it off. I don't usually do that. It doesn't really do that good of a job. Okay, so I got that, and before I had that, you know, it's hard to get anything down in there because the nail is almost too short. I mean, you'd have to get a 16 penny nail to push down in there. Okay, now I'm ready to go. That's how you do that. Okay. And once I put it on there, I'm actually going to wipe it off with my finger. And you just have to kind of be careful when you do that. Well, that's the best way to get a good seal. Okay, I'm going to get over there and start working. I'm going to get down lower after a little bit, but I just wanted to show you what I'm going to do here. Just going to put a nice bead along here. And this stuff bonds really good. And usually I'll just wipe my finger, wet it, and then go over it. Like that. And then I can wipe that off. I try to keep my finger as clean as I can, and I could come down here with a wet sponge if I wanted to, and a rag. I'm going to put a little bit on this. I find if I wipe it, it just gets right on in there. I had a little piece of wood here I was going to stick back up here just for the sake of it. Sure you get it on there, and then I'll just wipe off the excess. Okay, because I gotta put a little bit more right up in there. I'm just gonna plaster this right in here. I got plenty of this. I got a whole case, 24 tubes of caulking. That's because I'm gonna be doing all kinds of other stuff with it. I don't know if it was any cheaper to buy a case or not. Excess off my finger. I get too much built up there, I can just take some of it off. You press the bottom of that, and that takes the pressure off, keeps it from coming out. Right at first it doesn't, but once it goes down a little bit it does. I'm just going to put on, you know, a fair amount. This is going to keep stuff from moving around. At this point, I don't want any squeaky steps. Okay, and I'm just going to keep on going until I get all of these stairs done, these steps. It's not going to take me that long. This way this can start drying before I treat the rest of the stairs. And I'm looking up here, and I'm not going to do this top part yet, because I may have to cut this, and when I put the new stuff, then I'll have to do some more caulking. But all the rest of the stairs all the way down, you know, these 2 bays, even the small bays on the side, I'm going to get down in there. I've got my cardboard back down. I flipped it upside down now so it's nice and clean. And I'm just going to keep caulking all of this as I go. Like I say, some of these joints are pretty big, but this stuff, once it dries, it's not going anywhere. And see, some people, they don't put it on with their finger, but like I say, I like to do that because it adheres up to the top and to the side and the bottom and all that. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing that before I decide to go and do the next thing. Okay. Now this construction adhesive, like if you have a squeak underneath your subfloor, you can crawl under there and you can determine exactly where it is, and you can caulk that under your floor joists, your girders, up next to your floor joists, and along the edges of your floor joists, right up next to your plywood or your 2x6 tongue and groove, whatever it is that seems to be squeaking. I used to try to find something, and people would try to find a screw and get a screw and put it down from the top, from the top of your floor down into your joist or something, your floor joist, through your carpet and stuff. You got to mess around with all that kind of stuff. Just use your construction adhesive. Like I say, you don't have to use liquid nails. That's what I happen to use. Liquid nails, baby. I've used this stuff for years. And they have other kinds of construction adhesive. It's all pretty much the same, and it works really good. Alright, so I'm going to continue doing that for the rest of these stairs. Now, what's my project going to be next time? You're going to have to watch this, and I'll show you all about that. I'm going to apply something on here, and I got it at the store, and the painter recommended it. Okay? Now there's different ways you can go about the project at this point. Is there a blueprint for exactly do's and don'ts, what to use, what not to use? Hey, just go to your local paint store, go to your local hardware store, tell them what you're doing, give them some pictures, show them some pictures on your cell phone of your project, and they'll give you some recommendations, because what I'm going to use may not be what a painter is going to use, may not be what another general contractor is going to do. There's probably 4 or 5 different ways you can go about this project at this point. Okay? This is what I'm doing. This is just one of them. So I'll explain that to you and show you all about it next time. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos.